We're following breaking news right now. As expected, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has officially launched his presidential bid. The 44-year-old ends a crowded field of candidates vying for the Republican nomination.
And breaking this afternoon, music icon Tina Turner has died. The legendary performer overcame an abusive marriage early on to become a superstar in her own right. Her chart-topping songs in the 1980s include What's Love Got to Do with It and Private Dancer. Before that, Proud Mary in the 70s. Turner died Tuesday after a long illness at her home in Switzerland. Turner became a Swiss citizen a decade ago. Tina Turner was 83 years old. Well, thank you for joining us. I'm Mary Bubala.
And I'm Kai Jackson. Baltimore Mayor Brandon Scott moments ago just detailed how the city plans to approach a youth summer curfew.
The mayor says this is not about consequences, but meeting young people of Baltimore where they are.
We have live team coverage right now. Jeff Fable is at City Hall, where council members will hold a hearing into the curfew.
First, Keith Daniels is live with some of the new details that just came out today. Keith?
Well, Mary and Kai, the mayor just wrapped up this news conference. You may be able to see behind me they're breaking down over there at this hour. Now, the mayor called for this summer youth curfew after 2 teens were shot while police were trying to break up a large crowd of minors. That happened here at the Inner Harbor last month, and today the mayor announcing his summer youth and giving details about the plan today. But an internal memo was sent out to police officers yesterday, a memo obtained by FOX45 News. The police commissioner telling officers they should only enforce the curfew when they see a crowd of 10 or more minors in public places. Now, officers were also told they will not be allowed to take any youth in custody solely for a curfew violation. Instead, officers are told to call on the youth to leave on their own or be transported to a youth connection center by a civilian employee. Now, the policy also states only minors consenting to be transported may be transported to the center. Now, the mayor calling on the curfew after violence again involving youth. I asked him, why does he think his curfew plan would be effective in curbing juvenile crime? Specifically, why do you think this curfew plan will be effective in curbing juvenile crime? And then, of course, Mr. Mayor, I have a follow-up.
I'll say again, Keith, and you and I have talked about this a billion times, right? You hear us say again that this is a part of a wider plan, a whole plan of summer engagement for our young people that goes into the other engagements that we have and plans we have around young people to help us reduce violence. Never did I say that the youth curfew itself would go out here and be a silver bullet to reducing youth violence in Baltimore, because I'll tell you this again, there is no silver bullet.
Well, the curfew is 9 p.m. for anyone 14 years old and younger, and 10 p.m. for those 17 and younger. And really quickly here, in terms of what happens to an offender, the first offense, they say, will receive a warning, and then the second offense, a fine of $50 or family counseling for the family, and then the third offense, up to a $500 fine and community service. Of course, we'll have more on this coming up on our later newscast. We're live now at the Inner Harbor. Keith Daniels, Fox 45 News.
All right, Keith, thank you. Well, right now, experts we've spoken to are torn on exactly how effective this curfew will be.
So I don't know if it will be fully effective. We have to look at the outcome of it. But what I will say, the objective of moving more young people out of harm's way may reduce the homicide rate, and it may in fact reduce the number of young people who are shot.
Okay, curfew, but what do we do about the school day? What do we do about the summer day? What do we do about the kids who are committing crimes during the school day, during the noon hours? What about those particular kids? Because that's a real problem.
Members of the Baltimore City Council still have questions that they want answered on how the summer youth curfew will work. Jeff Abel joins us live right now with that part of our story. Jeff?
Well, in about an hour, the city's Public Safety Committee will begin digging into this curfew enforcement plan, which some experts tell us tonight that is really no enforcement at all. But as we told you yesterday, the plan only applies to underage violators who are in groups of 10 or more. Officers are supposed to order the teens to leave the scene or call for a civilian to transport them to a youth connection center, but only with the violator's consent. Well, some council members are already questioning what burden this plan could pose on an already overburdened police department.
Personally, to be honest, I have mixed feelings about reenacting the curfew. BPD is strained, and so I question whether having police officers serving to escort children to curfew centers is the best use of our very limited law enforcement capacity.
Well, representatives from the mayor's office and the police department are expected here for today's hearing at 5 o'clock and will attempt to put some of these questions that have been posed to rest. We're live at City Hall today. Jeff Abel, Fox 45 News.
Well, Jeff, thank you. Well, this year we are seeing a rise in crime and violence among young people in Baltimore. 10 young people have lost their lives to violence. About 40 others survived shootings. Now, we want to know what you think. Is the youth curfew enough to curb the juvenile crime crisis? This poll just opened. So far, 98% of voters say no. Head to foxbaltimore.com/vote to weigh in.
As Baltimore grapples with accountability for young people, Fox 45's Mackenzie Frost sat down for an exclusive interview with the Department of Juvenile Services Secretary Vincent Schiraldi.
And Mackenzie joins us live right now. Mackenzie, you questioned Secretary Schiraldi about youth violence and accountability. What is he saying is the issue?
Well, Mary and Kai, the new Secretary, Vincent Schiraldi, says really taking a look at the Department of Juvenile Services, he says there are a lot of things that he wants to see fixed within this agency. And we really pressed him, especially because this agency is tasked with handling some of the youth crime perpetrators and suspects, especially when we're seeing a rise in juvenile crime. Here's a look at what he had to say when we pressed him about this role and his role in overseeing this very crucial agency across the state. Do you see this surge in juvenile violence and juvenile crime that we're seeing in communities as a DJS problem, or is it everybody's problem?
It's all of the above. DJS needs to pay attention to this, and what we're doing right now is we're talking to prosecutors and talking to police about who are the kids on our caseload that are most likely to either shoot somebody or be shot, and then we are going to work with law enforcement and communities and our staff to wrap services around those young people and also pay close attention to them. We have a solution for 95% of the kids, but this 5% that's been really problematic lately and where we have seen an uptick in some categories of violent crime, we don't really have a good solution to that. Law enforcement and some of these violence interruption approaches have done much better.
Well, Mackenzie, did the secretary say anything about DJS supervision and ways to improve that?
Yeah, when we're talking about this agency, you can't talk about it without getting into the issue with supervision, right? We know that this is a crucial part of this agency moving forward. We've seen some kids who have been on a GPS ankle monitor under the supervision of the Department of Juvenile Services. They've been gunned down in the streets, and we've also seen other young people with an ankle monitor on go on to commit even more crimes. So we asked him, really, what needs to be done to fix this, because what's happening now doesn't seem to be working. We also talked to him about some of his more controversial statements, especially his views on how old some kids are that should be potentially kept out of the entire adult criminal justice system. We'll have much more from our interview coming up at 5 o'clock. You can also see the full thing on our website at foxbaltimore.com. For now, we're live in Baltimore. Mackenzie Frost, Fox 45 News.
Mr. Chaudhary, Chris Pabst with Fox 45. Can we just get a few minutes of?
I do apologize. You can't have any attention.
No, we are.
For 5 minutes, I got to meet with the president.
Well, we can wait here for you.
Yeah, just give me a moment.
Okay.
Well, for the first time, the state superintendent of schools of Maryland agrees to speak with Fox 45 News about redacted student test scores. But Project Baltimore's interview was quickly derailed. Tonight on Fox 45 News at 10, we'll show you what happened when we tried to get answers for taxpayers about why state test scores were heavily redacted.
Some new information today in the Adnan Syed case. Syed's attorneys now asking the state's Supreme Court to consider its appeal of a lower court ruling that reinstated his murder conviction.
The decision comes after an appeals court ruled the family of Hae Min Lee had their rights violated during Syed's initial release. After that decision, Syed's attorney said they were planning to bring this case to the Maryland Supreme Court.
Well, her home sold out from under her, all because of a big mistake. Why one homeowner is out thousands of dollars trying to get it back.
From famous chefs to everyday cooks, many wouldn't know what to do without their gas stovetops. Well, now Congress is debating whether to limit their use.
I'm Morgan Atzett live in Owings Mills for the Ravens and their OTA practice where Lamar Jackson was on the field for the first time in 6 months. Why he is attending these voluntary workouts is next.
And it looks like temperatures as we settle on into the evening hours, falling from a warm near 80 degrees back down through the 70s, even into the 60s and 50s. Could even have a shower tonight. We're tracking that potential and a wetter Memorial Day forecast potentially in my Weather Authority forecast.
Signed, sealed, and delivered. Just a day after he told the Ravens he's ready for business, Lamar Jackson this afternoon showing he is indeed ready for business. Today is the first time in over a year that Lamar has voluntarily joined his teammates for an off-season workout.
That's right. All of last year, of course, he was involved in that difficult contract negotiation with the Ravens. Baltimore even stood a chance to lose him at one point, but last month, Jackson reached a 5-year, $260 million deal with the Ravens, making him the highest paid player in the NFL. We have live team coverage for you on this big day.
Sports agent Doug Eldridge is standing by with the big season ahead for Baltimore. But first, we're going to go to Morgan Atzett. She's live in Owings Mills with Lamar's return to the field. So good to see Morgan.
Hey guys, yes, this is the first week of these organized team activities. It's 10 practices spread out through the course of 3 weeks. These are voluntary. Players do not have to be here, but they are usually highly attended in the John Harbaugh era as far as how Ravens practices go during this voluntary period. And it was no different for the first one open to the media of the 2023 season. Only 16 players by my count out of the 90-man roster not on the field today. But the biggest name in attendance, the Ravens MVP quarterback Lamar Jackson, at his first OTA in 2 years after skipping these last year during the middle of contract negotiations. And this is the first time Jackson's on the field in nearly 6 months following that season-ending knee injury. Jackson has 260 million reasons why he should attend, but the biggest two for him, learning this new offense under new offensive coordinator Todd Monken and some of his new targets downfield.
New offense, had to get that down pack before the season rolled in, because the season's getting near. Even though got a couple months left, but still, just wanted to learn a new offense and get with my guys. I mean, just being able to throw the ball down the field. We sometimes we can't. Running can only take you so far, and I feel like with this new era of teams and offenses in the league, I feel like we need that. And Coach Todd Monken, what I'm seeing his offense so far is looking tremendous.
So no restrictions visually on Jackson. No knee brace, no sleeve on that knee. He's good to go. As far as work today, the 11-on-11 drills, any teamwork, he did not participate. John Harbaugh said after that's a ramp-up period for Jackson. This is just his first week of any off-season workout with the Ravens, so they want to make sure he's nice and ready before he's hitting the field in that capacity. Again, 16 players not on the field by my count. Some of those injury-related, some vets that have been here all off-season getting days off, but some big absences on offense were tight end Mark Andrews, running back J.K. Dobbins, wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr. He was just here Saturday for the Preakness Stakes. He is not here at OTAs. A couple offensive linemen missing, and the biggest name on defense, outside linebacker Tyus Bowser. The Ravens will continue these OTAs this week. We see them again media-wise, getting our eyeballs on them next Thursday. That practice is open to us. Reporting live in Owings Mills, I'm Morgan Atzett. Kai, Mary.
All right, Morgan, thanks. Lots of developments out there today. Let's bring in sports agent Doug Eldridge to continue our conversation. Doug, thanks so much for joining us.
Hey, thanks for asking.
How important is Lamar's appearance today for both the team and the fans, both like physically and psychologically?
Yeah, well, I mean, you break it down, but that's so relevant because it really two halves make a whole, right, Mary? I mean, physically, Lamar needs to get the reps. He's coming off of an injury. He's coming off of a significant injury, which thus far he's had a wonderful and remarkable return from. But he's also coming into a new offense and new offensive tools, which is really a blessing for him and for Ravens fans. So it's important to get the physical reps, to get the rust off, but it's also important psychologically to get in the rhythm and understand the playbook and understand it's a brand new scheme of calls, not just the plays, but the calls at line of scrimmage. So reps defeat rust every time.
Yeah, hey, Doug, let's hit reality here. Lamar wanted the money. He felt like he deserved more. It's a done deal, whatever anybody else thinks about that outside of the team. But he now will have a lot to prove, not just to himself, but to his team and to fans as well as the NFL. Do you not agree?
I do. I think that's spot on. But, you know, this is the same guy that says nobody cares, work harder. There is not a prima donna bone in this guy's body. All he wanted was his just due. He said, I believe I've earned it. Let me earn it again. And now I think he's going to not only show up as he's done, but show out in the season ahead. I think that the squad is going to benefit, the fans are going to benefit, and I think the league is going to be said in that soundbite was so spot on. Morgan, the clip she pulled, the reality is that the NFL is defined by evolution and adaptation. And the record books that they broke a couple of years ago with that record-setting running offense, that was a one-off. That couldn't be replicated season after season. This is a pass-first league, and if you come with some new age savant system, over the course of the offseason, the whole league is going to adapt. So while you evolve, adapt, evolve, adapt. And why he's so excited is because there's a new offensive brain and creativity in the meeting room, new plays, new players, new potential. Lamar's paid, he's excited, he's ready, and if anybody should be on the edge of their seat, it's Ravens Nation, because good things are ahead for the flock.
That seriously is so good to hear, because I think there was a little love lost for a little while with some fans, but it will be back, and him showing up today is the first step in that. Sports agent Doug Eldridge, thank you so much for talking to us today. We appreciate your perspective a lot.
Thanks for having me, guys.
The Baltimore Orioles are in the Big Apple tonight, taking on the New York Yankees. This is a live look at Manhattan right now. Beautiful. Look at the World Trade Center there. It is Game 2 tonight of a 3-game series. Game 1 yesterday in the Bronx. Didn't go well for Baltimore, but Kyle Bradish couldn't hold on to a 4-run lead or the back end of the bullpen. Well, the O's did maintain a lead up until the 9th inning. Aaron Judge tied it up. Then New York pulled past the Birds in the 10th, 6-5. Well, the O's end their series with New York tomorrow. Then they're back at Camden Yards with games this Friday through Wednesday.
And we continue to count down to what's expected to be a really busy Memorial Day weekend. You're looking at live pictures from Ocean City, Baltimore, and Towson. Coming up in less than 30 minutes, we'll take you live to Ocean City with how state leaders and transportation officials are preparing for the busy travel weekend. So let's bring in Chief Meteorologist Jonathan Myers for how the weather is shaping up for our long holiday weekend.
Yeah, and although, by the way, those Ocean City pictures look very welcoming, it's very quiet there, and one reason is prior to Memorial Day, but the other is because it's like 60 degrees outside right now over there. So the Atlantic Ocean water temperatures are in the 60s. So don't expect, even if we have sunshine out down the ocean way, a warm weekend. But I think by about Memorial Day, we should hit near 70, even in Ocean City. Around here, it'll be about 10 degrees warmer because, again, we're not under those Atlantic Ocean influences. But 82 now on the Toyota Eastern Harbor Skycam. Winds are variable at 5 miles an hour, humidity 33%. So it is a warmer day once again. We promised you ahead of this cold front that's going to be coming through tonight. It would be warmer today. We had 74 yesterday. Today, again, 82 here in Baltimore, 81 at Cockeysville, 79 at Bel Air, and 70s along the eastern shore. Open the windows, enjoy maybe even air conditioning with that high temperature at 82. Baltimore, 82 at Westminster. Down Ocean City Way, there are those 60s I was talking about. Even out in Cumberland in the mountains, 81 degrees this afternoon. And this stuff goes all the way back to Columbus and Pittsburgh. But what air is going to be coming our way is this stuff off to the north. Notice we kind of see the bottom fall out. 75, Scranton, 70 in Boston, and then some of those greens and blues up there into northern New England, northern New York. Those are temperatures in the 40s and 50s right now as this big batch of rain moves through. That is a cold front that's going to sift its way south. You can see most of the activity, again, is to the north and east over New England and northern New York. So that means for us, after a warmer day today, tonight, there is a slim chance of a shower as this weather maker comes through with very little fanfare. And behind it, it is going to turn, as I mentioned, a lot cooler for at least the next couple of days. Taking a look at the future scan for the rest of the day, right around 80 degrees, falling down into the 70s, even some 60s into the early overnight. By 10:15, there's that spot shower sprinkle. It's not a ton, and it's especially from Baltimore north. That's where most of the energy is left over with this thing, and even there, it's not going to be much. A couple of spatters at worst. By 8 a.m., this moves south, and then we're in the 40s to near 50 to begin tomorrow. By tomorrow, midday and afternoon, look at this. We are struggling to hit high temperatures near 70 degrees. So we can only hope for a warm up, right, as we head toward Memorial Day. And I think we will see it. We're at about 70 to 75 tomorrow. I think these temperatures here Thursday, Friday, maybe even a little bit overdone. I think it may be closer to 70 here. And then for the weekend, some increase in clouds. That'll be later on Saturday. That's a good looking day, mid to upper 70s. But we're just going to have to watch this system. As this front goes down to the south, it's going to kind of spawn a little storm. Some computer models say it stays away through Sunday and Monday. Others are going progressively wetter. So we're going to keep some spot showers, maybe a thunderstorm Sunday into Monday. And then it's warm next week.
I'm Christine Frizow. Once again, factoring into warnings about your future kitchen appliances.
Well, the U.S. territory of Guam hit by a powerful storm. The devastating video coming into our newsroom. And using your social media to scam your relatives. The warning tonight about the latest threat from AI. Well, back with live pictures from Congress, lawmakers holding a hearing today on a push to ban gas-fired stoves. In some cities in California, as well as Washington, D.C. and New York State, officials have already passed bans of natural gas stoves in new homes and buildings to begin in 2026. Well, now Republicans on Capitol Hill are warning a federal ban could be next. Christine Frizzau has a closer look at the rhetoric and the reality.
Change is already happening, like in New York State, where earlier this month, a ban on gas stoves and furnaces was signed into law, set to go into effect in some new buildings in 2026 and others by 2029.
That's a good investment. Investing in transitioning from fossil-based fuels to clean energy fuels that are cheaper in the long run.
Those regulations fanning the flames of debate in Washington.
If you're going to tell my mom that she can't have a gas stove anymore and she can only buy an electric stove, but there's a gas hookup in the kitchen and now the kitchen has to be remodeled, do you know what that's going to do to her livelihood?
While the Consumer Product Safety Commission did suggest a ban could be on the table, the Department of Energy says that's not happening, but did propose a rule to make gas stoves more fuel efficient and curb the burning of methane gas, changes some Republicans call government overreach.
This is about taking away choice. And every time you take away choice, you take away liberty.
But supporters point to the latest research, including in a prominent medical journal, which found 12.7% of childhood asthma nationwide is attributed to gas stove use, similar to secondhand smoke exposure.
These standards are not a ban on gas stoves, but a way to move the nation forward and reduce health and climate risks to people and our planet.
This discussion about gas stoves and natural gas overall has evolved over the years. Just a decade ago, it was touted as the clean energy alternative.
We've added enough new oil and gas pipeline to encircle the earth and then some. We're drilling all over the place.
Natural gas now viewed by some as contributing to climate change, with heavy costs to the planet and people's health long term, as others sound alarm bells about the financial costs now. In Washington, I'm Christine Frizzau.
Her home sold out from under her, all because of a mistake. Why one homeowner is out thousands of dollars trying to get it back. And Fox 45 News is live in Hereford as the community gets ready to welcome a national traveling veterans tribute. All of this ahead of Memorial Day.
Happening now, Baltimore County, a national traveling veterans tribute is arriving at Hereford High School today ahead of Memorial Day. It's to honor the service and sacrifice of all who've answered the nation's call. Motorcycles and military vehicles participated in a procession escorting the memorial to the school this afternoon, and they welcomed the ceremony, which is getting started right now.
Yeah, the tribute includes 23 life-size portraits depicting the fallen Marines and Navy corpsmen of Columbus, Ohio-based Lima Company 325. The powerful tribute will be open for viewing at the school's auditorium through Monday. Fox 45's Maxine Stryker will have a live report with a closer look coming up all new at 5 o'clock tonight.
It was very traumatizing. I had no idea what was going on.
A simple mistake puts a Northeast Baltimore home in peril.
According to Celia Crawford, the lien meant for another row home caused the city to sell her home by accident.
Fox 45's Rebecca Pryor reports that mix-up has already cost her thousands of dollars. Rebecca?
Yeah, Crawford says this tax sale has left her stunned and scrambling to save her home. Take a look. This right here, this is where Crawford lives, but she says the city is confusing her home for the vacant home located just across the street. It's a warning that would rattle any homeowner.
My hands were shaking.
Recently found on Ansela Crawford's front door, a tax sale certificate giving notice her property had been sold last June to an out-of-town LLC for $12,000, leaving Crawford shocked and confused.
What prompted it? Because so in my mind, everything is up to date.
Not sure how this could have happened, Crawford took 2 days off of work to sort things out with the city. Officials inside the city's municipal building revealing the lien on her home triggered by an overdue lawn mowing bill. The only problem, Crawford doesn't have a lawn.
I told them, this wasn't my property. This was an error.
Pictures of the grass the city was called out to cut show Crawford's address on the sign, but the backyard is of the vacant house across the street. A far cry from Crawford's fully furnished row home that she's invested heavily in over the last few years.
They had me going back and forth. I had to stand in line.
After hours of debate with city services, Crawford says she was told the best way to make the problem go away, pay the lawn mowing fee and reimburse her home's buyer for a number of charges they paid to the city. In total, costing her nearly $2,900.
It was really heart-wrenching.
Making matters worse,
here we are again.
Former federal and state prosecutor Dhruv Vignarajah says just a few doors down, a similar situation unfolded for 68-year-old Vanessa Wagner, whose home he helped save back in 2021.
How many times must we knock on the door of City Hall asking for some help?
Vignarajah also questioning how tax sales can be so easily sparked on these homes in Northeast Baltimore when homes in higher priced parts of the city with unpaid fines for higher amounts go untouched, including the Guilford home of Governor Wes Moore, where at one point, years worth of unpaid water bills racking up an outstanding balance of $21,000.
Do we have different rules for how we dispense with residential property in Guilford versus Northeast Baltimore?
Now, I've notified the city's housing authority about this incident. I've asked if they plan to reimburse Crawford, but as of news time tonight, they say they're still investigating the situation. Reporting live in Northeast Baltimore, Rebecca Pryor, Fox 45 News.
Rebecca, thank you. Well, right now, some residents in Northeast Baltimore also battling the city after a sinkhole swallowed their homes last summer. Rebecca has done a lot of reporting on this one as well. That sinkhole was caused after a 115-year-old storm drain collapsed. For months, the city refused to take responsibility, claiming the residents should have known about the aging infrastructure. The city even claimed it had recently inspected that storm drain. Relentless investigation from Fox 45 News found the city actually had not inspected that ailing storm drain for more than 20 years.
To know that these pipes are this many years old and the city is
basically blaming me. Basically, it's like a slap in the face. It was no failure, damages done to it. How do you know? So now you lying to me, you're denying me, and you neglecting me all at once.
If there weren't repeated efforts by a local news station haranguing and harassing them to tell the truth, their lie might have persisted.
Well, last month, the spokesperson for DPW finally acknowledged residents could not have seen the state of the failing storm drain. A court date is set for later this year.
It's a crazy housing market these days, and a new Zillow listing for a 12,000 square foot property in Anne Arundel County is on the market for just $42,000. The property boasts a sizable kitchen and dining room area, 15 bathrooms, a basketball court, and turf field. But the property at 1100 Clark Road is actually the address of Meade Senior High School. The listing is a suspected senior prank. Anne Arundel County Public Schools tells Fox 45 this is incredibly creative advertising, but we are stunned that the listers so vastly underestimated the value of this prime real estate with amazing amenities. By the way, potential buyers surely will be flocking to snap up this deal, right? Well, this won't be on the market for long, as you can imagine.
Kids don't know what anything costs.
No.
That's the truth.
At all.
All right. Well, taking a look now at the Fox 45 quad box. The U.S. territory of Guam hit by a Category 4 storm. The typhoon came ashore with high wind, heavy rain, and dangerous storm surge.
Time to reach a debt ceiling deal is running out as the June 1st deadline approaches. This afternoon, House Speaker Kevin McCarthy said he is open to more negotiating. McCarthy and Republicans want to cut back on government spending, while President Biden and Democrats want to increase it.
It is sentencing day for the founder of the group, the Oath Keepers. Prosecutors are seeking a 25-year sentence for Proud Boys founder Stuart Rhodes. This is for his role in the January 6th riot.
And rapper Fetty Wap has been sentenced to 6 years in prison for drug trafficking. Prosecutors say that he was part of a bi-coastal operation that distributed cocaine, heroin, fentanyl, and crack to parts of Long Island and New Jersey. Today marks a year since a gunman opened fire inside of Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas.
And the Uvalde community still searching for answers.
It's an emotional roller coaster. It's every emotion balled up in one. It's crazy. It's been sad. It's been anger.
21 crosses sit outside the school, one for each of the victims killed when a gunman opened fire on a fourth grade classroom last year. Authorities are still investigating the police response from that day when officers waited for more than an hour before confronting and killing the gunman. Uvalde's district attorney says the findings will ultimately be presented to a grand jury, but local officials are frustrated by how long the process is taking.
We can't even imagine the pain that they felt. In a year's time, they still don't have answers to simple questions that they should have gotten.
Well, the Uvalde School District has permanently closed Robb Elementary, and plans for a new school are underway.
Be the first to know about breaking news by signing up for News on the Go. Go to foxbaltimore.com and click on Mobile Alert Sign Up under the Station tab.
Well, you may have heard them yourself if you were in Annapolis today. The Blue Angels took to the skies above the Naval Academy and Severn River this afternoon. It is a sight many do not miss an opportunity to see.
Yeah, Fox 45's Amy Simpson is live in Annapolis right now. Amy, obviously a big week for the Naval Academy. Amy, I've seen them with my family. I am never not amazed by their precision. These are the best pilots in the world.
It's truly remarkable, Kai. Yes, it is a really big week here in Annapolis. It's commissioning week for the U.S. Naval Academy. And yes, those Blue Angels this afternoon stopped much of this town in its tracks. Take a look. Just awe-inspiring there. Here's a glimpse of those Blue Angels performing that elaborate flight demonstration for thousands of people down below this afternoon. Every year, kids get out of school early. The Route 450 bridge shuts down. Hundreds of boats even gather to watch along the Severn River. And it's all to watch these 6 fighter jets dazzle with those stunts in the sky. And if you've never seen the Blue Angels perform for yourself, I would say put it on your bucket list. It is mesmerizing and it is loud. The jets are so close, you can feel that roar of the engines in your chest.
It's exhilarating. And what I was thinking about is 100 years ago, nobody would have ever seen anything like this.
I wish I could go in a Blue Angel and fly one when I'm older.
Even though I'm Army, I love Navy.
Well, this is such a celebratory week, as I said, for thousands here in Annapolis. More than 1,000, midshipmen will be officially commissioned Friday. The vast majority of them becoming officers in either the U.S. Navy or the Marine Corps. This is the second year, Marion Kai, that I've had this assignment to come down here to Annapolis and cover the Blue Angels flight demonstration. So I may need to get my hearing checked. But I will say I'm the proud daughter of a Navy veteran, so forgive my bias, but I got to say it. Go Navy. Mary, Kai, back to you.
Love it.
Amy,
love it.
you're allowed to say that. That's perfectly fine. We
Exactly.
did it. And our hats off to your dad. We
Yes,
salute him.
he's proud for sure. Well, if you don't play the lottery much today, could be your lucky day.
That's right. That's because the Maryland Lottery is celebrating 50 years, Mary, a 50th anniversary. And there are some special prizes that you could win.
If the players are taking part in our games, if you're purchasing from a Maryland Lottery, one of our draw games, so that's your pick games, your jackpot games like Mega Millions, Powerball, Multi-Match, the Cash for Life, racetracks, and Keno. And it also includes our Fast Play games. You could instantly receive an instant cash voucher. We're giving out over 15,000 of these, and they're going to be from $50 to $500. And we're looking to give away over $1 million tomorrow.
Yeah, Mary's going to buy me that jacket, by the way. The Maryland Lottery's first drawing, I think, was that picture we saw initially ago, Mary, in Hopkins Square on May 24th, 1973. A ticket at that time, is it me? 50 cents sounds like a lot of money.
I agree.
In 1973. I thought about this yesterday when we read this. Whatever, that's how much it costs. However, the grand prize was $50,000, so that would have been a good trade-off.
And because you think about it, right now we pay $2.
Right, so it's not that much more.
It's not that
Yeah, so that is a difference. Yeah.
But it never does happen to us, does it? No,
No, I never win anything.
But happy anniversary to the lottery, for sure.
Well, scammers using social media posts and artificial intelligence to steal from people, how it works, and what to do to protect yourself from it.
And if you want to get a jump on the Memorial Day holiday weekend and start grilling tonight, temperature at 80 degrees at 6 and all systems go all the way into the evening. But we do have a sprinkle and a shower chance overnight. I'm going to get into that plus when we could have some more widespread rains over the Memorial Day holiday weekend. Going to break it down day by day, hour by hour, my Weather Authority forecast.
We are back live right now with pictures from Ocean City on the Eastern Shore. We continue to count down to what's expected to be a busy and productive and eventful Memorial Day weekend. Brad Bell is in Ocean City as Marylanders get ready to welcome the summer season.
Ocean City Beach Patrol Lieutenant Ward Kovacs stopped counting the number of people he's saved in the surf at 1,000. That was back in the mid-90s. He's never stopped worrying. Even today, cruising a nearly empty beach, he keeps his eyes on the waves.
It's almost good that it's a little chilly out and windy. It keeps people off the beach and out of the water.
He watches new lifeguard recruits training on the beach and remembers his early days.
I thought I was going to do it for one summer. 41 years later, I'm still here. I love it.
This year, his story is also part sales pitch.
That's going to be the best way to stabilize that spine.
The Beach Patrol needs to hire and train more lifeguards to cover the town's 10 miles of beach.
Good. Get them all the way up. Good.
There you go. Squeeze.
Make sure we're good here.
With about 40 lifeguard openings as Memorial Day approaches, the Beach Patrol has scheduled 2 more test days, June 3rd and 10th, for those who want to give it a try. Only about 50% of applicants can handle the swimming and running.
It's the best job. The significance that you play in people's lives is like nothing else.
This weekend, lifeguards will be on duty every 3 blocks, and the ever-vigilant Kovacs has a message for visitors.
The same every year. Keep your feet in the sand until the lifeguard's in the stand. Please don't go in the water until lifeguards are on duty.
Yeah, so don't panic. If you come down to the beach, Ward Kovacs says there will be lifeguards here. But take a look at this as we now join you live from Ocean City. This chair along the boardwalk, join beachpatrol.com. That's the website you can go to if you think you have what it takes to sign up for one of these test sessions they have coming up. But I got to tell you, as we reported, only about 50% of the people who try actually pass. Now, we're talking about a labor shortage. When we come back at 5 with you guys, we'll be talking about all the other businesses here. The problem is housing. People want to work, but there's no place for them to live. In Ocean City, Brad Bell, Fox 45 News.
Tough assignment there for Brad, right? I was actually a New York State certified lifeguard back when I was growing up, but I was a lake lifeguard. It was a lot easier than the ocean. 82 degrees, mostly cloudy skies right now. Hey, if you got the pool open after work, that's a good time to hop in. And in the rear here in the background, we've got a look at the 695 Baltimore Beltway, which looks like it's slowing down. This will be progressively busier, I'm sure, as we head towards the end of the week with busy travel. Memorial Day holiday weekend coming. Winds variable at 5 miles an hour. Humidity at 33%, so that's pretty dry. And our dew point at about 50 degrees. So all these temperatures close to 80 degrees and these mid-70s, low to mid-70s actually from Annapolis to the Eastern Shore. Very, very comfortable. Had a high of 82 thus far on the day here in Baltimore. 82 at Westminster. We promised you a warmer day, and yes, we certainly have had it. We were at 74 yesterday, back to the 80s today. Out where Brad Bell is, Ocean City, look at that. It's only 69 degrees, a little bit chilly this time of year. That's kind of how it goes. That's why you see the yellows right along the coastal sections, because, of course, the Atlantic Ocean waters are cooler. They're only in the mid-60s, so that keeps these areas naturally refrigerated. So don't expect a warm weekend for Memorial Day holiday weekend if you are headed down the ocean. But don't look too bad, and we'll get into that forecast here soon. 82 degrees right now in Baltimore, 75 at Scranton. There's your cooler air. And actually, that's going to be a part of our forecast coming for the next couple of days after today. And why? Well, because of this. Take a look here from Montreal all the way up into portions of Maine and New England. That is a weather maker. The next weather maker for us, a cold front. And most of the rain is to the north. So if you don't want to deal with some bad travel conditions, this is good news for you. We're kind of on the drier side of this system. But we are going to feel cooler air set up for tomorrow in the wake of this, as well as into Friday. So the future scan as we head through the evening hours, notice some of these spot showers and sprinkles, most of them north and east, but especially from Baltimore northbound through just after midnight. And then those are gone. Looks like temperatures 40s to around 50 when you wake up tomorrow morning. And how about this? Only near 70 for a high tomorrow. I think this may be a little too liberal here on Thursday, Friday. I think we're in the low 70s on Thursday, low to mid 70s, maybe a little more weight on the lower 70s on Friday. Then 77 on Saturday, clouds increase late. Could see a few showers Sunday, Monday. Jury's out on how much a system is going to be affecting us here, but keep that in your plans. Could see a thunderstorm later Memorial Day, 80 there, low to mid 80s early next week. All
All right, Jonathan, thank you. Well, the Hereford community is welcoming a national traveling veterans tribute. We're hearing from a list of speakers right now, including a gold-starred mother who graduated from Hereford High. That tribute will honor those who've given their lives for America. We'll be right back.
It is what I always wanted, and it has been so much more than I ever expected. I wouldn't have the amazing family I have without my husband and love, Norm, who's hiding. We were blessed with 2 tremendous children and have since been further blessed with grandchildren. We come from a strong military family, and our son knew from a young age that he wanted to continue the legacy of service. Norm, also known affectionately as Wally by his Marine buddies, would choose the Marine Corps to join. Josh Snyder would also answer the call to serve and join the Marines at the same time as Wally. Josh and Wally met in middle school and had many of the same interests: Boy Scouts, fishing, camping, and football.
We have a consumer alert for you. Scammers are apparently using social media posts and the power of artificial intelligence to steal from others. Patrice Sanders has details.
Artificial intelligence is still new and evolving, but the latest example of AI being used in a harmful way is the grandparent scam, where senior citizens are being tricked by an AI voice recording they think is a family member who's in trouble and needs money. Angie Barnett with the Better Business Bureau says part of the reason it's happening is that we share too much.
And the reason why is we are putting on social media video of our kids. So you've got that voice. They can take the voice using AI technology and they can actually mimic that child. So not only is it urgent and fearful, but now it sounds like Timmy.
So what do you do when you find yourself on the end of one of those phone calls? First, don't panic. That's what the scammers want. They're hoping your emotions make you rush into something you might later regret.
Step back. maybe even hang up, but call that Timmy or your grandchild's phone number, call somebody and really confirm before you jump into the mode of sending money, because these scams usually are not looking for $100, they're looking for $1,000. So there's a lot to lose there.
She also says listen to the audio. AI recordings will sound choppy, they'll have unnatural pacing or even odd background sounds. She also says it is a good idea for families to have safe words, words to share if you're really in danger, so your family knows it's you and that you need help. Patrice Sanders, Fox 45 News.
Coming up on Fox 45 News at 5 o'clock, where is the State Department of Juvenile Services failing, and how is its leader planning on fixing the problems? Fox 45 News talks with Secretary Vincent Schiraldi. And an icon has passed away. We'll have a look at the reactions from around the world to the death of Tina Turner.
The mayor finally providing details on his new youth curfew, what we're learning about his plans, and the questions coming from City Hall tonight.
As Baltimore grapples with accountability for young people, the head of the state's Department of Juvenile Services weighs in. We hear from Vincent Schiraldi in an exclusive interview.
A rock legend passes away. The reaction from around the world tonight with news of Tina Turner's death.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 News at 5.
As we approach Memorial Day and the start of the summer, we're also getting closer to the beginning of Mayor Brandon Scott's new youth curfew. For the first time tonight, we're learning more about the plan from the mayor himself as we continue to look into how it'll be enforced. Good evening, I'm Kai Jackson.
And I'm Mary Bubala. Right now, a meeting is getting underway at City Hall. Council members going over this new curfew plan and asking questions. And this is a live look at City Hall. That meeting, again, just getting started, people starting to assemble. The city's Public Safety Committee is convening to dig into the curfew enforcement plans, which some experts say is really no enforcement at all. The city's new enforcement plan only applies to young people who are in groups of 10 or more and does not allow officers to arrest underage violators.
Instead, they're supposed to order teens to leave or call for a civilian to offer them a ride to a youth connection center with the violator's consent. Now, some council members are already questioning the burden this plan could pose on an already overburdened police department.
Personally, to be honest, I have mixed feelings about reenacting the curfew. BPD is strained, and so I question whether having police officers serving to escort children to curfew centers is the best use of our very limited law enforcement capacity.
Representatives from the mayor's office and police department are at today's hearing, where they will attempt to put some of those concerns to rest.
Also, for the first time tonight, Mayor Scott himself is detailing the curfew plans. Keith Daniels joins us live now with the latest on what was said this afternoon. Keith?
Well, Mary, the mayor called for this summer youth curfew after 2 teens were shot while police were trying to break up a large crowd of minors. Now, that happened here at the Inner Harbor last month, and today the mayor announcing his summer youth engagement strategy. Now, the mayor giving details about the plan today, but an internal memo obtained by FOX45 News was sent out to police officers yesterday. The commissioner telling officers they should enforce the curfew when they see a crowd of 10 or more minors in public places. Officers were also told they will not be allowed to take any youth in custody solely for a curfew violation. Instead, officers are told to ask the youth to leave on their own or be transported to a youth connection center by a civilian employee. Again, the mayor calling on the curfew after violence involving youth. Now, I asked him, why does he think juvenile crime?
I'll say again, Keith, and you and I have talked about this a billion times, right? You hear us say again that this is a part of a wider plan, a whole plan of summer engagement for our young people that goes into the other engagements that we have and plans we have around young people to help us reduce violence. Never did I say that the youth curfew itself would go out here and be a silver bullet to reducing youth violence in Baltimore, because I'll tell you this again, there is no silver bullet.
Well, the youth engagement plan, which includes late-night basketball events and, of course, that curfew, it kicks off Friday, this Memorial Day weekend. Now, the curfew is 9 p.m. for anyone 14 years old and younger, and 10 p.m. for those 17 years old and younger. Well, live now at the Ann Arbor, Keith Daniels, Fox 45 News.
Keith, thank you. Community leaders and law enforcement experts are expected to talk about this more, and they also split on whether this is the right approach to a growing youth crime crisis. Some say while this could be a good first step, it's far from the solution needed to keep Baltimore's children safe.
I don't know if it will be fully effective. We have to look at the outcome of it. But what I will say, the objective of moving more young people out of harm's way may reduce the homicide rate, and it may in fact reduce the number of young people who are shot.
Okay, curfew, but what do we do about the school day? What do we do about the summer day? What do we do about the kids who are committing crimes during the school day, during the noon hours? What about those particular kids? Because that's a real problem.
Well, we'd like to know what you think. Is the youth summer curfew enough to curb juvenile crime? So far, 99% of those who voted say no. You can head to foxbaltimore.com/vote to weigh in.
And so far this year, 10 young people have lost their lives to violence in Baltimore. About 40 others have survived shootings. And we're not the only area seeing teenagers fall victim to the gun violence. We're also seeing a rise in juvenile suspects. Last month, a teenager was arrested in a mass shooting that killed a local boxer. And also in March, police say a 15-year-old wanted in connection with the carjacking of an Uber driver was arrested after running into Carver High School with a loaded gun. And on New Year's Eve, police say a group of teenagers kidnapped a couple in Federal Hill, took them to various ATMs, forcing them to take money out of their accounts.
It's not just Baltimore battling a youth crime crisis. Many counties are also seeing an alarming number of young people becoming victims and being accused of committing crimes themselves. Baltimore County is now implementing a summer deployment plan aimed at protecting kids. It comes days after a group of 6 juveniles were arrested for using fireworks to set a car on fire. In Prince George's County, a 14-year-old is charged this week for allegedly organizing a hit on another middle school student. The child being charged as an adult for ordering 3 other kids to shoot a 14-year-old boy. Now, luckily, the gun used in this crime failed to operate, and the target survived the attack. 2 of the 3 boys that jumped the victim have been arrested, while police are still looking for the third, but a girl has now been charged for organizing and orchestrating this alleged crime. Well, first on Fox tonight, as the state grapples with accountability for young people, Fox 45's Mackenzie Frost sat down for an exclusive interview with the Department of Juvenile Services Secretary Vincent Schiraldi. Mackenzie joins us live right now. So, Mackenzie, you questioned Secretary Schiraldi about youth violence and accountability. What's he saying?
Yeah, Kai, Secretary Schiraldi says there are several things that simply aren't working within DJS. And a lot of it, he says, comes down to a lackluster programming that's being offered for some of these kids at these various facilities. But the secretary also says that DJS is just one piece to this problem. For the first time, we're hearing firsthand from the leader of an agency under fire. We've heard from prosecutors and various police departments describe DJS as kind of a mess right now, especially when it comes to programming. What's your initial take on where things stand within the agency right now?
I think we need to do better in terms of programming. I think that we don't work as well as we could with a lot of people in communities who are living with young people every day. We don't work as well as we could with law enforcement, and I think that's an area we need to improve on, and that's going to be one of my biggest priorities.
Do you think that DJS is capable of providing the level of services that's required for these young people, as well as the level of accountability that some people in the community are expecting?
I think we do have the capacity to do that. I think the department has some excellent staff. They are committed. We just need to row in the same direction.
Schiraldi says Maryland incarcerates kids who are under 18 in adult prisons at a higher rate than most in the country. Do you think that that includes the level of accountability that we're hearing some people call for when it comes to these young people who are committing crimes?
It needs to be both, and of course there needs to be accountability, but we also need to have the kind of services, supports, and opportunities for young people so that they don't reoffend and that they thrive. And I think that's where we're really lacking.
How does that factor into the laws that are being passed by the legislature that prevents kids 12 and under from being charged with some crimes, with the exception of 10 to 12-year-olds who are charged with murder or other violent crimes?
That are really young are much more of a social service problem than they are a criminal juvenile justice problem.
Schiraldi's stance contrasts what Fox 45 News has been reporting from some law enforcement agencies. Anne Arundel County Police publishing this list of all crimes committed by kids 9, 10, 11 years old who can't be charged. Harford County Police writing on their Facebook page the law is, quote, narrow-minded legislation, adding it makes your communities less safe. Do you see this surge in juvenile violence and juvenile crime that we're seeing in communities as a DJS problem?
DJS needs to pay attention to this, and what we're doing right now is we're talking to prosecutors and talking to police about who are the kids on our caseload that are most likely to either shoot somebody or be shot. We have a solution for 95% of the kids, but this 5% that's been really problematic lately and where we have seen an uptick in some categories of violent crime, we don't really have a good solution to that.
How long are you expecting the public to wait before those results are seen?
You know, we're going to start seeing results relatively quickly, but this is an ocean liner. It's not a speedboat. You can't just turn big departments like this. You can, and it's not also just us, right? We got a society full of guns and kids with problems. We can focus on some of that, and the governor is also focused on doing something to get control of guns in reasonable, moderate way.
DJS isn't the only agency with issues, but it is the department facing scrutiny, especially as more and young people find themselves either becoming victims or perpetrators of violent crime. Now, Governor Wes Moore has ordered a top-to-bottom review of DJS. It's unclear what will come of that and when we'll see it. Right now, it appears as if there will be slow-moving change. Now, there's a lot more from this interview, including the Secretary's thoughts on his previous comments about how old someone needs to be before he thinks they should be introduced to the adult criminal justice system, as well as his thoughts on the supervision concerns within DJS right now. All you have to do is take out your phone and scan the QR code that's at the bottom of your screen, and it'll take you to my full interview right there. For now, we're live in Baltimore. Mackenzie Frost, Fox 45 News.
New developments in the Adnan Syed case. Syed's attorneys now asking the state Supreme Court to consider its appeal of a lower court ruling that reinstated his murder conviction. The decision comes after an appeals court ruled the family of Hayman Lee's family had their rights violated during Syed's initial release. After that decision, Syed's attorney said they were planning to bring this case to the Maryland Supreme Court.
And breaking news right now, iconic singer Tina Turner has died. Her death was announced on her Facebook page. Turner rose to stardom from humble beginnings, Nutbush, Tennessee, in fact, as she called it, and became one of the most popular singers of all time, earning the nickname the Queen of Rock and Roll. Tina Turner had a string of hits in the 60s and 70s before making a comeback in the mid-80s with her multiple platinum album, Private Dancer. Her cause of death has not been released at this time, but Tina Turner was 83 years old. As you can imagine, enormous reaction coming from around the world. Let's take a look at some of the comments right here. Here we have Tina Turner. Look at this. The Queen of Rock, simply the best. I love this one here. Tina Turner performing Proud Mary. She was next level. You got that right indeed. Listen to this. Magic Johnson with Elizabeth Taylor and Tina Turner. Rest in peace to one of my favorite artists of all time. This one coming in from Ben Crump. I'm going to skip ahead. This pioneer was a true music icon and embodiment of resilience. Quickly, one from NASA, simply the best. And the last one, I love this one here. This is from the man himself. This is from Mick Jagger, a guy who has spent years rocking it. I'm so saddened by the passing of my wonderful friend, Tina Turner.
Well, in politics tonight, Florida Governor Republican Ron DeSantis is running for president. DeSantis filed the formal paperwork for his candidacy today and is expected to have a kickoff event in his hometown next week. According to a spokesperson for his political team, an official announcement will happen during an online conversation with Twitter owner Elon Musk later tonight. The event is being held through Twitter Spaces, where anybody can listen and request to ask a question.
She had to pay thousands of dollars to keep her home. The frustration from a woman who says the city of Baltimore sold her home all because of a mistake.
He believes the U.S. will not default on its debt, while one Maryland congressman says he's confident leaders will avoid a looming.
The Blue Angels take flight. We're live from outside the Naval Academy in Annapolis after today's show.
And the weather real nice for that show. And if you want to take a walk this evening, it looks like that nice weather sticks around. Temperatures at 79 at 7, 72 at 9, and 67 for a late evening stroll across the neighborhood. I'm going to let you know how long the dry and warm weather lasts and if it could all fall apart in time for Memorial Day. Hint, hint, it's in my Weather Authority forecast.
Well, you might have heard them yourself if you were in Annapolis today. The Blue Angels took to the skies above the Naval Academy in Severn River this afternoon. It is a sight many do not miss an opportunity to see.
Fox 45's Amy Simpson is live in Annapolis right now. And Amy, this is a big week for the Naval Academy.
It's a very big week and a beautiful day. Mary Kai, less than 2 hours ago, this green here was packed with people, wall-to-wall people, and they were here for commissioning week and that time-honored tradition when the Blue Angels come to town and stop much of this town in its tracks. Take a look. Well, there's that glimpse of the Blue Angels performing their elaborate flight demonstration for thousands of people down below this afternoon. Every year, those kids get out of school early. The Route 450 bridge shuts down. Hundreds of boats even gather in the Severn River, all to watch those 6 fighter jets dazzle with those stunts in the sky. And if you've never seen the Blue Angels perform yourself, I would say put it on your bucket list because it is a mesmerizing show and it is loud. You can hear those jets. They are so close. You feel the roar of their engines in your chest.
It's exhilarating. And what I was thinking about is 100 years ago, nobody would have ever seen anything like this.
I wish I could go in a Blue Angel and fly one when I'm older.
Even though I'm Army, I love Navy.
Some great people we met out here today. You heard 6.5-year-old Cole there who was watching those Blue Angels in the sky. He told me he wants to be in the Navy when he grows up. So Cole, set your sights to it. You can do it. A very cool celebratory week here for midshipmen for commissioning day here in Annapolis on Friday. More than 1,000 of those midshipmen will officially be commissioned into the military, many of them becoming officers in either the Navy or in the Marine Corps. I got to say, I said it in the last hour, Mary Kai, I'm the proud daughter of a Navy veteran, so go Navy. There's my bias right there. Guys, back to you.
Amy, we salute your dad.
Exactly, and it's a safe bias.
It's a good bias.
Here,
That's
because
fine.
it's all about Annapolis and Navy, so that's so great, Amy.
Well, the weather, as Jonathan mentioned, couldn't have been nicer for the Blue Angels to fly today. In fact, our fingers are crossed that we'll get to enjoy some more of this warm weather throughout the holiday weekend. These are the current conditions in Towson, Baltimore, and of course, down the ocean in Ocean City. By the way, for those who are planning to hit the road and get to the beach for the holiday, Chief Meteorologist Jonathan Myers says what you can expect.
Beautiful day out there today, wasn't it?
It really was. A little bit of haze, but sunshine, beautiful temperatures, up around 80 degrees. Want to go out, see the Blue Angels, want to go for a walk, open the windows on the trip home. All that, all systems go.
All right.
So let's get right into your forecast. We want to keep this, right, all the way through the Memorial Day holiday weekend, but unfortunately, I don't think Mother Nature is going to totally oblige. Now, some computer models do say that it may be dry the entire weekend, but there are others that go a little bit wetter, so we're going to have to split that difference for now, and we're going to really have to track it closely. 82 degrees, mostly cloudy, mile 1 Towson right now. We do have that hazy sun, winds variable at about 6 miles an hour. Humidity is low at 32%. Dew points in the 40s means dry feel to the air. 82 here in Baltimore, 80 degrees at Cockeysville, upper 70s at Elkton. We're in the mid 80s currently at Westminster, so a summer feel, and temperatures really all across the board warmer than they were yesterday. 82 Baltimore, 84 at Westminster, 82 at Frederick, and 80 for a high temperature at Hagerstown. And then you work your way south and east and down towards the water. Annapolis, not too far, where, of course, we had the Blue Angels flying over, 73. That's a cooler temperature due to the fact that they're right near the Severn River. And then, of course, you work your way towards the Atlantic Ocean. Ocean City, it's not coming in right now, but we had a high of 69 degrees. And you can really see it early in the season. This is kind of how things go. You get real cool right near the Atlantic shoreline. That's because of the influence of that relatively cooler Atlantic Ocean water. I just checked. It's only 64 off Ocean City right now. So that's why you see these yellows right along the coast. So it's going to be a cooler weekend at Ocean City, even with a little bit of sun. The warmth is inland here in Baltimore, points west, and that's ahead of our next weather maker. You'll see some rain that's around Scranton, up toward Albany, New York, and up into New England. This with a cold front that is going to slide through tonight into early tomorrow. Most of the rain you see is up near the Canadian border, but the cooler air, we are going to be seeing some of that. So the rain, Now, most of it is, again, well to our north, but the future scan says 10:15 through about midnight or so, through 1 a.m. through about 3 a.m. There could be a spot shower or spritz, mainly from Baltimore north, really more so north of the city. Could be a couple of spits and spatters. And then beyond that, dries out for tomorrow. Good looking day, but it's going to be about 10 to 15 degrees colder, with highs only reaching about, say, 70 to 75 at best. I think we'll be closer to 70 than 74. Could be in the low to mid 70s Friday, recovering to the mid 70s on Saturday. Clouds increase and could see a few showers. Some computer models go wetter than others, but there's at least a risk of rain here. Sunday, Monday, could even see a thunderstorm on Monday for Memorial Day, and that goes into Tuesday as well.
Jonathan, thank you. One of the most high-profile politicians in the nation making his move, the latest announcement that could shape the 2024 election. And for the first time in over a year, Lamar Jackson is back in voluntary practices. What his new contract means for the new era of the Ravens. All right, Lamar Jackson says he is ready for business. Today is the first time in over a year that Lamar has voluntarily joined his teammates for an off-season workout. All this after he signed an historic 5-year, $260 million deal with the Ravens, making him the highest paid player right now in the NFL. Sports Unlimited Morgan Atzett has the latest.
This is the first week of organized team activities for the Ravens. 10 practices on the field over the course of 3 weeks. They are voluntary. They do not have to be here. But they are usually well attended by the Ravens under John Harbaugh, and that is no different for the 2023 season, including the Ravens MVP quarterback Lamar Jackson at his first OTA in 2 years and the first time on the field in nearly 6 months following that season-ending knee injury in December.
It felt great to be out here again, even though I was on the sideline a little bit, but you know, it felt great to see my guys and seeing everyone work so hard. to try to achieve this goal this year.
Again, these are voluntary. Players do not have to be here, but Jackson has 260 million reasons why he should attend. The biggest two, learning this new offense under offensive coordinator Todd Monken, and some new targets like veteran Nelson Aguilar and rookie Zay Flowers.
New offense, had to get that down packed before the season rolled in, because the season getting near. Even though got a couple months left, but still, just wanted to learn a new offense and get with my guys.
By my count, a total of 16 Ravens were not on the field during OTA practice today out of the 90-man roster. The biggest name, wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr., who was in town just on Saturday for the Preakness Stakes. Some other names missing on offense, running back J.K. Dobbins and tight end Mark Andrews. Offensive linemen Ronnie Stanley and Kevin Zeitler also not here. On defense, the biggest name not spotted at practice, outside linebacker Tyus Bowser. The Ravens will continue OTA work this week. It is not open again to the media until next Thursday. Reporting in Owings Mills, I'm Morgan Atzett for Sports Unlimited.
Well, a group of students making sure their community never forgets the efforts to get a special Memorial Day exhibit to Hereford High School. Her house was sold without her knowledge, the latest on a woman's fight to keep her home, all because of a city mistake.
It was very traumatizing. I had no idea what was going on.
A simple mistake has put the home of a Northeast Baltimore woman in peril. According to one city homeowner, a lien meant for another row house caused the city to sell her home by mistake.
This is just a big mess. As Fox 45's Rebecca Pryor reports, the mix-up has already cost her thousands of dollars. Rebecca is live now with the very latest on this. Rebecca.
Yeah, this tax sale has left Crawford stunned and scrambling to save her home. She says that the tax certificate posted on her front door earlier this year was the first she had heard that her home was at risk. However, she says her bills are all paid and she's never missed a tax deadline. When she went to sort things out with the city, it was then revealed that the lien on her home was triggered by an overdue lawn mowing fee. The only problem, Crawford
doesn't have a lawn. The pictures of the grass that the city was called out to cut show Crawford's address on the sign, but the backyard is of the vacant house across the street.
I told them, you know, this wasn't my property. This was an error. I mean, as you all can see, you know, I've done considerable updates to the property. So I'm thinking, I can't just lose this home. How can they do this?
After 2 trips to the city's municipal building, Crawford says she ended up having to pay the fines to save her home. Between the lawn mowing fee and the tax sale expenses, it cost her nearly $2,900. I've since notified the city's housing authority about this incident and asked if they plan to reimburse Crawford. As of News Time tonight, though, they say that they are still investigating this situation. Reporting live in Northeast Baltimore, Rebecca Pryor, Fox 45 News.
Hopefully we get some resolution for her. Well, right now, some residents in Northeast Baltimore are also battling the city after a sinkhole swallowed their homes last summer. You'll remember that sinkhole was caused after a 115-year-old storm drain collapsed. For months, the city refused to take responsibility, claiming the residents should have known about the aging infrastructure. The city even claimed it had recently inspected that storm drain, but some relentless investigation from Fox 45 News, Rebecca did a lot of reporting on this, found that the city actually had not inspected that ailing storm drain for more than 20 years.
To know that these pipes are this many years old and the city is, you know, basically blaming me, basically it's like a slap in the face. It was no failure, damages done to it. How do you know? So now you lying to me, you're denying me, and you neglecting me all in once?
If there weren't repeated efforts by a local news station haranguing and harassing them to tell the truth, their lie might have persisted.
Well, last month, a spokesperson for DPW finally acknowledged residents could not have seen the state of that failing storm drain. A court date is set for later this year.
There's new information as a Baltimore man is arrested for attempted murder. Police say 29-year-old Lance Jamal Hickman was taken into custody last night. He's accused of shooting a 31-year-old man earlier this month in northwest Baltimore. The victim was rushed to the hospital in critical condition and is now recovering from those injuries. This year, 108 people have been killed in Baltimore and 231 have been shot and survived. Both of these numbers are down from last year at this time, but there have been growing concerns over low city police clearance rates and a youth crime spike.
A nationally traveling veterans tribute has made its way to Baltimore County ahead of Memorial Day. Fox 45's Maxine Stryker is in Hereford with a closer look as setup is now getting underway. Maxine.
Well, Mary, the incredible tribute arriving here today at Hereford High School. And right now we have a lot of high school boys from the football team, strong guys here who are starting to unload this memorial to those who made the ultimate sacrifice as we head into Memorial Day weekend. Motorcycles and military vehicles participated in the procession escorting it here today. And now the students in the 4R Troop Club here at Hereford High School, they spearheaded getting this here, and they're going to spend the night in the auditorium setting it up. It includes 23 life-sized portraits depicting the fallen Marines and Navy corpsmen of Columbus, Ohio-based Lima Company, one of the most heavily engaged units of Operation Iraqi Freedom. The news of their loss prompted this traveling memorial as a way to show compassion for the fallen Marines. To date, this memorial has been displayed in more than 30 states and over 300 events, and this is the first time that it has been here in Maryland. So how can you see it? Well, the Eyes of Freedom exhibit, it will be here the rest of the week through Monday, through Memorial Day, for viewing at the school's auditorium tomorrow and Friday from 3:30 to 8 o'clock, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. And guys, it really is something to see. You will not want to miss it. It's worth the drive out here to beautiful Hereford. We'll have more tonight at 10, but live for now in Hereford, Maxine Stryker, Fox 45 News.
Mr. Chaudhary, Chris Pabst with Fox 45. Can we just get a few minutes of your...
I do apologize.
You can't
have any time.
No, we're
for 5 minutes. I gotta meet with the president.
Well, we can wait here for you?
Yeah, just give me a moment.
Okay.
For the first time, the state superintendent of schools in Maryland agrees to speak with Fox 45 News about redacted student test scores. But Project Baltimore's Chris Papp's interview was quickly derailed. Tonight on Fox 45 News at 10, we'll show you what happened when we try to get answers for taxpayers about why state test scores were heavily redacted. Right now on Capitol Hill, House Speaker Kevin McCarthy says he's planning to meet with President Biden again to try and make progress on a debt deal. Congressional leaders and the president have been in a stalemate. Both sides are unwilling to negotiate on key points in their respective plans.
So don't blame me for reaching out to the Democrats, for begging the president to meet with me or trying to find it. And don't blame us, Republicans, when we put a reasonable bill together that we actually took Democrats' ideas.
Well, meantime, some Democrats on Capitol Hill are saying the crisis is in part their fault, saying their party should have acted earlier to fix the problem.
We should have figured out an opportunity to raise the debt ceiling long before the Republicans took control and could hold the economy hostage. And we're living with those consequences.
Well, as the battle over the debt limit continues on Capitol Hill, one of our local representatives here in Maryland is weighing in on that debate. Tom Rogers reports.
One side argues we have obligations to pay our debts, while the other side says our spending is out of control and the waste needs to stop. This as the U.S. inches closer to defaulting on its loans, possibly in 1 week. Representing Maryland's 1st District, we have Congressman Andy Harris saying that the default will not happen.
Well, look, the Speaker is making the case to the American people, and I think successfully, that in order to raise our credit limit, which is what we're talking about, that we have to control spending. We have to slow down the increase in spending that we've seen over the past few years that's caused runaway inflation.
Well, we also heard, a lot of people saying this is just political fodder. Every time there's a debt ceiling coming up, this could be used in elections that are also coming out. House Republicans came up with a $1.5 trillion release, but then cuts across the board. Democrat Party, have they come up with a plan? They just said, no plan. We just need to raise it as we have when Republicans were in the White House.
Well, not only do they want to raise it, but they want to raise it by $4 trillion. They want a clean $4 trillion debt ceiling increase, and the American people should just say no to that.
Now, Congressman Harris says the U.S. will not default in a week and that the federal government has enough money right now to pay the interest to avoid this default. He says this is just a political fight on who will bend first, the White House or fiscally conservative House Republicans. Tom Rogers, Fox 45 News.
I realize this is a really tough day for all the families. Remembering is important, but it's also painful.
Well, President Biden marks 1 year since the mass shooting at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas. In Uvalde, ceremonies were held honoring the 19 children and 2 teachers who were killed, as well as all those who were hurt and lost loved ones. The president took the day to double down on calls for gun control and a ban on assault weapons.
And over the last year since Uvalde, our country has experienced a